We are happy that we are signing the MoU to partner with yourselves on anti-money laundering. But let me just sound a caution here, which I did mention to you when we met one-to-one this morning, to say maybe the toolkit that we have, the traditional toolkit that we have in dealing with anti-money laundering is not going to work. It's not going to work because unless we look at what is happening in terms of cyber activities, transferring money, including through Bitcoin. I was saying to him this morning that I've seen transactions worth about $30, $40 million transferred through Bitcoin, which central banks are not catching. So unless we begin also to look at the cyber space issues and say, how do we ensure that that does not happen, we're not going to succeed. Secondly, I will tell you something which I know very well, that it's possible to move money around without moving it through banks. And I will not mention the country that does that best, but I'll mention to you confidentially. You'll find that if you want to move money around, all you need to do, if you have other people in the other country, they will finance you, and you'll finance them where you are. If I am in Zambia, and I move 1 billion kwacha from my account to another account, nobody's going to ask me, why are you doing it? Because it's an internal transfer, isn't it? The revenue authorities may be interested. But if I want to move it across the countries, I've got to get regulatory approval, etc. There are also limits. They are also got to declare what the money is for. But increasingly, for terrorist activities, and I want to say this morning, money is not being transferred through banks. Money is being transferred through other means. So therefore, the challenge which we have in terms of anti-money laundering is that we also look at it and say to ourselves, the toolkits that we have, the policies that we have, may not be geared towards dealing with the problem in the 21st century. It was a totally different century that requires innovative thinking and also understanding what is really happening in terms of technological innovation and the application of that technology.
So, anti-money laundering or combating financing of terrorism is an all-inclusive approach which involves not only banks, but regulatory bodies, policymakers, law enforcement agencies like the police, investigation, and so on, customs. And therefore, the policies of developing capacity are absolutely critical. And I think the intervention which COMESA is making and which we are going to work together on is critical in relation to this, because it also affects trade in the broad way. The anti-money laundering standard has 22 predicate offenses that range from the points we are mentioned about over-invoicing, under-invoicing, etc., as an offense, which leads into proceeds that are laundered in the financial systems, etc. And therefore, building capacity to understand all of this is extremely critical. Our own organization works in the context of 3 areas. One is assisting countries to understand the risks for money laundering. Secondly is undertaking in-depth assessment of all the countries and describing the challenges and the concerns which they are facing within those jurisdictions, and then making specific recommendations on what countries need to do in their regulatory frameworks, in their banks and financial institutions, in their laws, in their in policies, in allocating resources for fighting the crimes that are associated with money laundering over time. And then we undertake a very, very comprehensive process of monitoring compliance with the international standards. And of course, when it comes to investments from outside, etc., whenever a country, whenever an institution is interested in investing in a country, the first thing they look at is the anti-money laundering regime of that jurisdiction, and whether they are satisfied that their investments will be protected in relation to that. So I think that if we are successful in doing what we are doing, and in monitoring compliance, in assisting countries to move towards compliance to the standards, we will also create a very enabling environment for investment and trade within the region. And I welcome the opportunity of working with COMESA in this initiative.